So there we go. All right. Okay, so this has been recorded, and amazingly, I haven't forgotten. So that's a really good start. And yeah, there's a few things to run through. So I've got a usual list of stuff, which I will talk through over the next couple of minutes. And then we've got a load of questions as well, which they actually look like we've got some different ones to the last couple of times. So that's really good to see. So I'll run through those. As always, if there's anything else that you want to ask or anything that you want to add, use the AMA channel in Discord, and we'll do our best to keep up with them as they're added as we talk through this. And yeah, let's do it. So sorry, this audio thing's thrown me a little bit, hence the slight hesitation, but we're all good. So first thing to mention is the hacker. So he is still at large. Now this is a one-of-one giveaway which is open to multipass holders. The way to enter that is to retweet and tag on Twitter. We've had 600 so far, which I think is one of the highest that we've had, which is really good to see and kind of shows that we've picked up some traction over the last week or so. The announcement will be tomorrow at 10 a.m. UTC for whoever's won that. So there's still plenty of time, 13 hours or so. So yeah, if you haven't entered yet, then make sure that you do. The other thing that I need to say is a big happy birthday to Vortex. I don't think he's here tonight because he's got more important things going on. Obviously, like it's his birthday, so that's completely fair enough. But yeah, I know that Mobsy mentioned that he wanted to wish him happy birthday as well. So happy birthday, dude. The next thing, so the Mecha Chaotic draw, that will be done after this AMA. So again, there's still an hour or so, give or take, depending how long this takes to enter. Again, if you haven't, then it's probably worth dropping into that because it's a really good giveaway. And that's kind of it for housekeeping stuff. What I wanted to do now was talk through a few bits and pieces related to the project and just update you all on how things are going. Hopefully kind of talk through what we've done over the last week or so, because it's been crazy again, which is great, and we're still absolutely loving it. But it does feel like it's getting towards crunch time. You know, we've spent the last 3 or 4 weeks in constant dev, constant build, constant design. This time next week we'll be getting ready for the next drop, and then a few days later we go into avatar minting. So we need to make sure that everything is as perfect as it possibly can be. And on that note, Avatar Dev is flying along. Time feels very tight, but we're doing okay. Aurora is pretty much locked in a room 24/7 at the moment, trying to make sure that all of the assets are absolutely perfect. We've had 2 or 3 rounds of Arena already, which have been kind of generated, regenerated. We actually test some uploads, so we'll put together 300 or 400 example avatars to start with to make sure that things look great, and then go back and redo them if not. The same with the Punk JJ as well. That is pretty much complete now. We have our 3rd character, which is Degen. He is very, very close to being complete. And then we have a couple more, which are still a work in progress. So yeah, like we've got plenty of time, but making sure that things are perfect is the most important thing to us. I think we talked originally of having 6 characters in the level 1 minting window. It might end up being 5 depending on how things go. We would prefer it to be 6, but if we have any kind of concerns over quality, then we would rather go with 5 than 6 to make sure that we do get the best possible results. But we'll keep you up to date with that. If it does end up being 5, then all we will do is move 2 into level 2 instead of 1, which was the original plan. So it would mean that we probably have, as I say, a couple of extra that go into level 2 instead. That's by no means decided at all, though. So I'm just kind of preempting it just in case we do need to make that call. But hopefully it will all be fine. The next thing that I wanted to mention was around the game side of Awakened, because I know it's been a little bit quiet on that as we've been in kind of multipass drops and then avatar drops and so on. But we've had lots of questions and lots of people mentioning it, so I thought I would run through that really quickly. So the idea at the moment, when we started this, I always knew and said that blockchain gaming was going to be huge. And obviously there's been plenty out there before. So you've got Axie and those kinds of games as well. And then those wolves came along and changed things slightly. And that it is different, but it is the closest kind of concept to what has been in my head for Awakened ever since we started this. And being really honest, what I'm worried about is the fact that that's dropped and there's a load of copycats and there's a load of kind of projects as well who are looking at this kind of stuff. I don't want us to get left behind. So the plan at the moment is that we're going to bring forward the game development side of things and speed that up. So originally we was kind of saying, look, early 2022, maybe mid 2022, we'll drop something and get that released. Now the aim is that we are going to start the actual dev for that before Christmas. Depends a little bit on dev resource, and I'm working quite hard at the moment to make sure that we can get enough people in to put this together. But the aim is that we will start the dev before Christmas. I've spent pretty much the whole day today on the updating the design and updating the logic behind it. So yeah, dev starts soon, and all being well, the aim would be that we drop, I'd love to say it's January. Genuinely, I just don't think that's possible, because to make sure that it is the best possible quality that it can be, you just can't do it in 6 weeks. And we've seen what happened with Wolfgame as well. Any issues that you have with a contract, and you're really not in a good place because you end up having to migrate things, you lose a load of trust, and it just kind of starts to fall apart. I think that Wolfgame's quite lucky that they were so early, and they managed to pick up some backing from the likes of Beanie and so on. So they'll probably be able to get through it. But any other project, when you've got those many holes in your contract, you're probably going to crash and burn. So what we're going to do is just make sure that it's as perfect as it can be, make sure that we don't have any holes in it, but also get this released as fast as we possibly can, because that gives you guys, who have kind of been really patient with us since minting the first round of multipasses, that gives you the extra value, and we push the project on as quickly as we can. So yeah, like I say, the idea is that we really move things forward as quickly as we can. Talking a little bit about how it will work, I've mentioned real estate in the past, and that is very much the case. So there will be real estate that's tied to each city, and the idea will be that you can tie that real estate to your avatar to generate the Awakened token. And the mechanics behind that, I have been working on and spreadsheeting out to kind of work out the tokenomics and how everything stacks up. And the tokens that are generated passively will be linked to the level of the avatar. So the idea is that over time, the higher level of avatar and a gear token as well will impact this, the more income would be passively generated from that real estate. What we're also looking at doing is having the concept of kind of henchmen that sit alongside this real estate, and it might not always be called henchmen, still trying to think of a better name because it's a bit cliche, but the idea would be that you are able to kind of complete jobs over a period of time with these henchmen, which will also increase the earnings that are tied to real estate. So it may be that you do a job that takes an hour and that will generate a certain amount. You could do a job that takes 24 hours and that would generate another amount, but the relative income per hour would be longer with a 24-hour job because it takes less effort to log on and start that every 24 hours as opposed to every hour. The really cool thing from Wolfgame was the idea of stealing, and being honest, that isn't something that I had planned on building in before this dropped, but actually it's a really good idea and it fits in very, very well with what we're trying to do as well. So as henchmen complete those jobs, it's pretty likely that we're going to build some stealing mechanics in, which would effectively mean that they can take away some or all of the passive income that is generated by a piece of real estate over that 24-hour period. Now that would be limited because we don't want kind of every single hour-long job to give you a huge amount of income because you're able to log on and then it just kind of eats up the whole economy. But yeah, like that extra mechanic adds a little bit of kind of chance into it. Also keeps things really interesting. So it's pretty likely that we are going to build that in. As I said before, levels and gear affect income. With henchmen, they would be tied to your main avatar, because essentially kind of your character and the avatar that sits behind that character is the leader of that clan or group or whatever you want to call it, gang. But what will happen with henchmen is that over time, as they complete those jobs, it's pretty likely they will also level up. So that will be a separate thing. So they effectively earn XP. And as they earn XP, they're able to complete more complex jobs. And that whole system kind of grows up and turns into something way more advanced. One thing that I would say, though, is that there will be an idea of diminishing returns. So if you have 10 pieces of real estate and you attach each of those 10 pieces of real estate to a single avatar, each subsequent one above one generates slightly less income. So it could be a 0.9 multiplier, a 0.95, a 0.7, still modelling that out. But each time you attach a new piece of real estate to an avatar, the amount of income that generates drops slightly. So again, that kind of promotes people having more than one avatar over time, but there will be a balance, because as you level those avatars up, a high level avatar generates more income. So is it worth you actually minting later and waiting? Should you still kind of hold on to your multipasses and wait to level 3 or level 4 because that multiplier is so much higher? Should you mint early and get an avatar as quickly as you possibly can, and obviously kind of start getting that Awakened token through as quickly as you can? That'll be up to you, and that's something that people will need to work out over time. The other thing to mention is that there will still be the kind of concept of the city DAOs. So as those tokens are generated, there will be that concept of taxation, which sits alongside real estate, and there will also probably be a concept of taxation against jobs that are completed. Still working the job side out, but the real estate side has been in my head for a while, so that's way more straightforward. The DAO will then be able to decide what it does with those Awakened tokens. Like, do you redistribute back out to everybody that is sits within that city? Do you burn those tokens to increase rarity and therefore, in theory, increase kind of the scarcity of the Awakened token, which obviously has an impact on the economy as a whole? So there's a few different decisions there that could be made by the DAO that sits behind each city. The way to get into that DAO will be via some separate tokens. They'll almost certainly be available to everybody, but they will be a separate mint. And what we will probably do is tie those into, firstly, giveaways, of course, but secondly, the special characters. So if you are lucky enough to win one of the one-of-ones, then you are guaranteed that you will be part of the DAO in a city of your choice. So there's a few things like that are going on. I'm not going to go into any more detail than that. Obviously, we're still building this out, but over the next week, 2 weeks, 4 weeks or so, we'll start to drop some more detail in. And any feedback that any of you have, as always, just drop it into Discord. If you've got any other questions on a day-to-day basis, like when we're in there, just ask away. If we don't know yet, we'll be really honest. Like, this is evolving because we've been knee-deep in avatar development. But like I say, we want to move it forward as quickly as we possibly can. And I think, hopefully, that covers all of the kind of housekeeping and day-to-day stuff that I wanted to talk through. So I'll move on to questions, and just kind of scanning through now, there's probably the most that we've had in a while, so this might take some time. Firstly, you're taking the progress done to what was planned from last AMA to today, if you don't cover this in the intro. Good question there from Mobsy. I would say that we have flown through a lot of the design, moved probably quicker than we thought we would on some sides of it, and a little bit slower because we've had to redo a couple of things as well. So overall progress, I think, has been really, really good. What has felt really busy was the game side of things, because as soon as we saw that starting to move, we were like, right, okay, we need to speed things up now, and we need to try and get ahead. So that's made things feel busier, but actual kind of project and what we planned, progress has been really good. Baydidi, I hope that's how you say it. How do you all plan to raise the floor? Honestly, I don't give that a second thought. And we've said from day one of this project, like, this isn't a short term, build it up, get the floor to be as high as possible, flip it, everybody moves on, and we carry on with our lives. This has always been long term. I will probably check the OpenSea listings once every week or something like that. But there's other people that check it way more often, and I always get to hear about it, so that's probably not a really fair thing to say. But yeah, honestly, I don't care about the floor too much. If it was tanking and we were getting loads of kind of negative feedback and that kind of stuff, then I would be worried. The fact that we have relatively low listings, I think it's still at somewhere between 80 and 90. It was fewer than that the other day, and that the floor, we're in a build phase here. That's been going on a month. And the floor is still at somewhere in the region of 0.8, I think it is, 0.85, something like that, goes up and down. So yeah, I think we're in a good place. And the way that you raise the floor is by having a really, really good project. So we make sure that we get the avatars to be as good as they possibly can be. We make sure that we release the gaming side of things, firstly when it's ready, but secondly when it is up to the standard that we need it to be to make us stand out and to have the best project. So that's how you make the floor go as high as you possibly can. Do the holders get benefits like whitelist and other projects that we are working on? So we are not working on any other projects at the moment, and I can't see that changing for at least the next 3 to 6 months. We're really tired. This is really fucking hard work. So we don't have any plans right now to release another project. It goes without saying, though, if we did, then anybody who was involved in this first project would 100% be get on the whitelist. That goes without saying. People have been with us since day one, are still active in Discord, and yeah, if you've been with us for this long, then if we did drop another project, then you would be first in line. So yeah, really good question, but honestly, too tired to even think about another project right now. Mobsy plans on incentivizing people to mint an avatar level 1. The game, to be honest, we always talked about the fact that at some point there would need to be that flip from holding a multipass giving you more benefits because you were able to claim more things like gear and comic and so on, into avatars being the things to focus on. Now, if we bring the game forward, that means that there is a higher focus on minting an avatar. So does that change in a couple of weeks' time to get you to mint an avatar on day one? Absolutely not. Would that change when the game drops? So somewhere in around level 2, almost certainly. But remember as well that we're going to have more multipasses that are going out very soon. They are going to have a load of inherent value once this game drops as well. So yes, anybody who minted 4 or so weeks ago, you're ahead. But anybody who mints in a week's time is also going to get a load of value when the game drops. So there'll be incentive for people to mint at level 1 if they buy one of these next multipasses, I would say. Cat Daddy, what ideas are being considered to incentivize upgrading and minting leveled avatars with weapons? Maybe unique advantages an upgraded avatar with weapons has over base level 1. So this ties into the upgrades and the gear side of things. So for getting the game, as you upgrade, you get, in theory, a more upgraded character, which is, in theory, rarer, because there'll be a higher spread. And if you use your multipass at level 2 or level 3 or level 4, you get access to characters that weren't available at level 1, 2 and 3. So there is that incentive there to upgrade and level up your avatars. Gear as well, gear upgrades as your avatar does, so it adds that element of rarity. But again, coming back to the game, if you have a higher level of avatar and you have a gear token applied, then you will generate more of the Awakened token, which then allows you to go back and buy more real estate, because that token, like the utility, is entirely within the game. So you can buy real estate with it, and there's probably a couple of other things that we're working on as well, which I won't talk about just yet. Dimitri744, any plans on buying land, Sandbox, Decentraland and so on? Me personally, yes. I meant to a few weeks ago and never quite got around to it, which is annoying given that things have started to grow there. As far as this project goes, not right now. We're not trying to build a 3D metaverse environment. This is all about blockchain gaming, and yes, it ties back into the blockchain as a whole and ties into other projects really nicely. But right now, this is all focused on Awakened and blockchain gaming. That might change in the future, and we would definitely consider it then. I think I said on the last AMA, I was on a panel with one of the guys that develops Sandbox, and I love that project. I think it's really interesting. I think what they're trying to do is being done in the right way as well. They're trying to create a part of the metaverse that anybody can use and ties into as many projects as possible. And I think that's a really good thing. You look at the decentralized ethos behind what we're trying to do here, and Sandbox is perfect for that. But right now, I don't think it's quite appropriate for us to go off and start buying that land. Hexander, any plans on layer 2 usage? I mean, I'd love to support you guys and take a chance, but the ETH fees on top of it are off-putting. Yeah, I get that. It's crossed my mind. And so right now, no. But when we look at the game side of things and the token and so on, that starts to get around it, because the utility sits more within the Awakened universe as opposed to needing to mint different avatars and so on. So it's kind of a no, but also a yes at the same time. But honestly, I get it. The ETH fees on top of everything are high, and we've always done our best to limit gas. And we had a load of feedback after the first mint that said, like, look, Multipass, the gas fees that Multipass has are way lower than most of the projects out there. That's because we put so much work into optimizing it. They are 1155 as opposed excuse me, they're 1155 tokens, so that obviously helps. But yeah, at the moment, we are kind of waiting until we move into the game phase to hopefully move away from that. Troy Celsius, gear token coming soon. When gear? Yeah, that drops before we get to level 2 avatars. So yes, it's on the way. And again, ties back into the game side of things. I also did an announcement earlier this week, which talked about the gear token and how it works. So yes, it's on the way, but not in the next week or so. We are waiting for avatars to go out first. Hibiki, price of the second drop multipasses, 0.09 again. I know that Ether's dropped, but it probably doesn't make sense for us to up the price right now, like just perception, and we want to make sure that as many people get involved in this project as possible. So yeah, it'll be 0.09 again. Damaging, good name. If you have 4 multipasses, is it still best to hold all 4 and get a better chance of level 4? There's 2 levels to the answer to this question. So firstly, it's now guaranteed that if you use a level 4 multipass, you will get a level 4 avatar. And the same if you use a level 4 multipass to upgrade a level 1 avatar, you are guaranteed to get level 4. Building in that element of chance just didn't sit right. It didn't feel fair. If you've waited for X number of days, like you've waited all the way through to June, July next year to get this level 4 multipass, and then you use it and you end up with a level 3 avatar, that's going to feel horrible. So we've removed that element of chance and guaranteed that you do get a level 4 avatar if you use a level 4 multipass. Is it best to hold and get that level 4? Depends if you want to play the game. So when we drop this, when we start thinking about the multipliers that sit behind it with generating that kind of Awakened token for your real estate and all the other stuff that sits around it, should you sit and wait, or should you go early and then upgrade, or should you go early and not upgrade? That's a decision that you'll have to make. We'll be as transparent as we can with the multipliers so that people are able to make those decisions. But to be honest, if you don't want to play the game and you're just here to mint a great looking avatar that you may upgrade at some point in the future, that's absolutely fine as well. So yeah, that's completely up to you, and we've built enough options into this to give you that decision. Next, Alex in Oslo, looking forward to when you dox or reveal your identities. When can we expect that? Don't know. We've always said that we might do it at some point, but not immediately. And I'm still not going to promise that. We have separate lives. Crypto is a slightly strange place. I also run a separate business, so I wouldn't want this to overlap into that. As you all know and have seen, we've got nothing to hide. We've always been really open with who we are and what we're doing and so on. The fact we'll sit on these AMAs. I sat there and did an interview on a video call with Crypto Gorilla pretty much on day one of us launching. So yeah, it's not that we're kind of hiding away behind a curtain or anything, but we are just being mindful. So I'll still say, I'm sure it will happen at some point. We just need to manage it, how and when and so on. Also from Alex, can you discuss how the project's managed? This is a long question, so bear with me. Can you discuss how the project is managed? Hierarchy, decision-making, etc. In another NFT project, they didn't have a leader. They had an idealistic view that 5 people can always agree and no one was clearly in charge. The team later splintered. They lost 3 of the members. Do you take the decision if there's gridlock in the committee? Does the team clearly recognise you as the leader and respect your decision even if they don't agree with it? I mean, you can possibly hear laughing in the background. So the way that the decision making usually happens is that one of us decides we want to do something and then we crack on and do it, but within our remit. So Ahura, for example, I would never ever dream of telling him not to do something from a design point of view, because that's what he does best. He knows his shit and he knows way better than I do. So if he wants to build an avatar or design an avatar in a certain way, he gets on and does it. If I want to build the tech in a certain way, nobody's going to argue with me because nobody else really understands it. So I just crack on and get that done. The same with Twicky as well. If she wants to do something within the community, like swearing at Mobsy or running a contest or a giveaway, then she just gets on and does that. Yes, there's times when we argue and we all push back on each other when the time is right, and we're very honest. We've always worked, and this isn't just with this project. But I've worked with Twicky for a long time. I've worked with Vortex as well. Myself and Ahura work in a very similar way. That if we don't think something's right or we think something isn't very good, then we will say that and we'll make sure that everybody knows our viewpoint, and then we'll talk about it properly. We'll deal with it. yeah, we might feel annoyed with each other at some point, but we're not annoyed with that person. We're annoyed with the kind of the back and forth that's being happened, and the fact that maybe we don't agree. But that's fine. Like, we're all grown-ups. So I suppose, yeah, I suppose I do lead on stuff, but we don't run it as a committee. But there's never been any issues, and I wouldn't ever see that being the case. Like, we haven't formally set out a hierarchy or anything like that. It's naturally evolved over time, but a lot of that's happened because we know each other so well. So yeah, I know that's like slightly different. You know, it's not as if we're set up as a traditional like startup with a CEO and so on. But yeah, we've been running businesses for a long time, so we're not too worried about that side of things. Blup00, my biggest question and concern, don't mind waiting for the project to run its course, but in NFTs, trends move super fast. Yeah, they do. Do you think that this kind of project will still have value in several months if all of the similar have collapsed? Can you adapt to new trends? Yeah, absolutely. Like, things move crazy fast. There was always a very good chance that another blockchain game would come out and get everybody's attention, like Wolf Game has. So the fact that we're reacting to that and bringing dev forward and, being really honest, investing a bucket load more money to make sure that we can bring the right devs in to speed things up, I think that shows that we will adapt and that we will push things on as quickly as we can. Will we still be relevant in several months? 100% believe so. We've always built this to be for that to be the case. So, you know, with avatar upgrades, with the game, with any other stuff that we end up dropping in over the next few months, we will always do our very best to keep this relevant. So yes, we can adapt. You have to. You can't get into the NFT space with a plan and think that that's going to be the same plan in 2 weeks' time, never mind 6 months' time. So yeah, we'll continue to adapt and make sure that we stay relevant. Rat, isn't 5 characters making it too common? I think that's related to the minting of the level 1 avatars. So it shouldn't do. You know, if you look at the amount of projects that drop with essentially 1 character, they do okay. We've got way more diversity than 99% of projects out there actually have. So each of the avatars that we're generating have a huge amount of different attributes. So I think Arena has a total of 8 outfits with 8 recolors for each one. Also 13 different weapon options, 9 different hairstyles, plus all of the other stuff like the tattoos and the scars and the jewelry and everything else. So, you know, you could probably generate 10,000 of her, and yes, it would start to look similar in the end, but they would all be different. So 5 at level 1, honestly, I don't think we've got any issues there with it being too common, especially because I would be very surprised if we get that many mints at level 1. You know, if we get more than 1,000, I would be really, really surprised. I think it's going to come in somewhere between 500 and 1,000, but we'll see. Rahat, what does the game side of things look like? I've just covered that, but if you've got any more questions, then feel free to ask. Alex Beeger, any news on the new marketplace? Said you should have more details by Wednesday this week. Yeah, this is a really annoying one. So they're really busy with Miami at the moment, but also there's a technical issue which we're trying to work around. So the way that these marketplaces work is that you either mint directly onto their marketplace and then resell from there, or you mint within your own marketplace, effectively your own marketplace that you build, which is Awakened.net, and then you push your NFTs onto those platforms. To get the homepage listing that we've been talking about, one of the things we've been asked for is a link to the collection that would sit on their marketplace. Now, we don't have that because we're minting on our own marketplace, which is a bit of an issue because of the fact that we could kind of change landing pages and update things and so on. So there's some kind of technicalities around how that works and how that ties back into their marketing that we need to iron out. But with everything going on with Miami, it's slowing things down a little bit, which is completely fair. So I spoke to them on Wednesday this week. We've had some back and forth over email. They're now, I assume, in the air by now. I think it was today. So we've got a bit more kind of back and forth to have. What's likely to happen is that the drop onto that marketplace will be delayed by a week or so, which would mean that it is a week, maybe 2 weeks after this next multipass drop that we're doing in a week's time. So it's still moving. Still looks good to go. But yeah, annoyingly, I haven't been able to announce it because we've still got a couple of things to work out. Marketing and community next. So Kurgertin, that'll do. I suppose that the first round of marketing is over, and how will the second round of marketing be like, other than the collabs with other projects? So we've got the one collab that's gone out this week, and I think the artwork on that project looks great, and we definitely want to do more of that kind of stuff. We started some Twitter ads this week as well, which worked pretty well, and then Twitter decided that they were going to stop them because they don't really like NFT advertising, so we are still trying to work out a way that we can carry on with that. But also I had a call with somebody who sits on the Reddit advertising team. You have to be whitelisted to be able to advertise NFTs on Reddit, and we are in the process of being whitelisted, so we will be able to run paid ads with Reddit. It was meant to be on Friday. The person I spoke to maybe hasn't pressed the right buttons, so I tried to get some ads through and they got bounced. So all being well, when they're back in the office tomorrow, that will all be sorted, and then we'll start running some Reddit ads. We've also got the giveaways that are ongoing, so the one-of-ones, they massively help. We have a December thing, which I don't think has been talked about too much so far. I'm getting head shakes, so I'm not going to announce that just yet, but we've got a big campaign that will, firstly, add a load of value back to you guys because there's lots of giveaways there, but secondly, help with the marketing side of things as well, that will be in early December. What we are going to do this week, though, is, and I mentioned this last time, some of this is for you guys to support us. So we're going to drop more in around Twitter raids. We want to do that in the right way, but we think that's important. So starting to kind of shout a bit louder and get us in front of other people. Also, we've got a load of YouTube coverage lined up for just before the drop. So I think at last count we had 5 or 6 different YouTubers that we were either speaking to or had stuff confirmed with. And ideally there'll be more that comes through this week. We've also run some giveaways, and this is kind of smaller scale stuff, but we've run some giveaways through some other bigger Twitter pages over the last week or so. What we haven't done is gone and paid the shillers that have got 200,000-300,000 possibly fake Twitter followers to drop those contests in. We've actually found people who, yes, some of them are promoters, but they are properly involved in the space, so they might have a slightly smaller following, but they're genuine. And we've run a few bits and pieces through them as well, which has brought new people into Discord, and also new following through into Twitter as well. So there's plenty going on, between Twitter and YouTube and giveaways and paid ads and so on. There's plenty of marketing that's actually happening. It does feel quieter at the moment. I think the NFT space as a whole is slightly quieter as well. You look at the amount of projects that launch and drop, and the percentage of those that actually get a load of coverage is relatively small. And very often we actually have to kind of take a step back and sit and think and realise that actually we've done really well so far. We've got a really good engaged community, and there's a lot of you who are listening to this at the moment. And we've got some really good promotion that naturally happens. We need to keep pushing it, but we're in a really good space. Smiley1, do you plan on hiring more people to the team to speed things up a bit? From a dev point of view, on the game side of things, that is already happening. On the marketing side of things, we actually brought another person in this week to help us, and Jake's doing a really good job so far. So yes, when we need it. The other thing that you don't see as well is things like creative. So although Ohora leads on anything, what we decided to do after the first drop was that we would bring 2 extra people in to support him to make sure that we could 100% deliver the avatars that we needed to deliver, firstly for level 1, but also for level 2. If it was just him, we probably wouldn't have hit the level 1 multipass date, to be honest. There was just no way, with the quality that we're trying to hit and the amount of assets that we're trying to generate, it probably wouldn't have been possible. So we do bring other people in. We just maybe don't shout about that as much as we possibly could or should do. And then final one from Little Krabby, will there be a small community events like Crab Game or online games like a chess or poker tournament? Yeah, now Twicky's been talking about that over the last couple of weeks and really wants to do it. If you've got any suggestions about the kind of thing that you'd want to get involved in, whether that's like poker or chess or whatever it is or something else, drop it into general chat and we will take a look. I'd love to do a poker tournament. I think that would be great fun. But yeah, anything like that, drop it in and we'll try and do it. Next, so I've got a load of questions about cities and land, which I may have covered in the intro, so bear with me a little bit. Crypto ping pong. Has there been progress from a legal perspective regarding token issuance? Yeah, we are making progress on that. It's complex. There's so many grey areas, and to be honest, like a lot of people don't really know because there haven't been any test cases or anything like that yet. But we are making progress on that. So bear with us a little bit, but it's not going to affect bringing the game forward. We're kind of cracking on and getting it done, being careful, but also kind of doing that alongside the legal advice as well. Similar question from Alex in Oslo. So yeah, again, we're covering that. Definitely D, will we have land NFTs for the cities? Yes, we will. It's a little bit scary because that involves design, and obviously Ohora is pretty busy with avatars. You know, we've got level 1 and 2 covered. We also have level 3 and 4 to deliver to you as well. So we need to be careful that we don't take them away from that side of things and end up being late with level 3 and 4. But yes, it will be a land NFT. It won't be like, you know, the temptation would be to do pixel art, which is very fast and easy to do, but would be completely different to the style that we have for the avatar NFTs and multipass. So we're going to make sure that it's designed in a way that sits with the rest of the project. Miso, how are the one-of-one characters integrated into the universe? Yeah, so they will give you benefits, and I've already talked about being guaranteed a DAO seat if you own one of the one-of-one characters. There will be more of that kind of stuff that happens as well. And are cities assigned, or can we pick our favourite one? They're assigned, so that there is a function within the avatar generation that randomly picks a city. So again, like once it's chosen, it's in the database. It doesn't change between different levels, but yeah, they are pre-assigned, so you can't choose. We have talked in the past around having migration tokens, and that might be something that is a good use of the Awakened token. But right now they're assigned, and there currently isn't a way for you to move, but that might change in the future. David C. I know you talked about all the one-of-one characters being involved in a unique way when cities drop. Any chance you can give us a bit more info on this? Yeah, so similar question to above. Again, you know, you get access to the DAO if you have one of the one-of-one characters. We are also talking about the global order as well, and the fact that those one-of-one characters are pretty linked to the global order might give you an idea of some of the other stuff that we're thinking about to tie them back in. But I'm not going to give too much detail at the moment because honestly, there isn't that detail there, so I'm not going to sit here and make it up. Smiley1, do you plan on making 3D characters for us to use in the metaverse? Not right now, to be honest, no. That may change over the next 6 or 12 months, depending on how big this project becomes. You know, when the game drops and the space as a whole evolves, there is going to be a time when those 3D avatars are more important. So yeah, that might change in the future, but it's definitely not in the plan for these initial phases. Draw ID, weapons. Could you give your character the ability to participate in combat? Possibly. At the moment, you know, the level and the weapons tie into the Awakened token and earning through real estate and so on. But there is a number that sits behind each of the characters which shows their relative power. So it may be that we build in some kind of combat in the future. I know it's supposed to be an economic text game, but what if you would make it also in a style like forum RPGs? Yeah, it's interesting you dropped this question in. We were talking earlier in the week about maybe building out some kind of RPG environment within Discord. And you've mentioned there that you know that a few of the other multipass holders, you yourself included, would gladly help build the world and rules in any free time. Honestly, that's massively appreciated and something that we have been thinking about. So if we decide to move ahead with that, then we'll give you a shout. But yeah, again, thank you. Paolo74, if you wait to mint your avatar when it's level 4, are you still able to purchase real estate while waiting? No, you will need an avatar, at least one avatar, to be able to mint real estate. And again, the concept of diminishing returns as your real estate generates the Awakened token means that it might be the case that you would want to have multiple avatars if you want to go really deep into this. So yeah, you will need an avatar to be able to get involved in the real estate side of things. Draw ID. You mentioned higher level multipass, high level avatar will have higher income from property. Can I send property from a low level avatar to a high level avatar to increase the income? Yes, you can. So the idea is that you will be able to log on to your kind of management area, which will be on the site, and you'll be able to assign property to whichever avatar you want to assign it to. So yes, that will definitely be possible. And you can change that over time as well. So there will be a limit to how often you can move that, but you'll be able to transfer it between your different avatars. Rahat, for the token, are you thinking limited supply, and how much will be released from the start versus later? Yeah, absolutely limited supply. The tokenomics that sit behind it, I'm not going to go into detail on at the moment, because the multipliers, although they're in a spreadsheet, as we start to test this, they will change. So yes, it will be limited, and yes, there'll be some released from the start. It's likely there'll be an airdrop there as well, and obviously over time more will be released. So that will all happen, but I'm not going to talk about numbers right now because it wouldn't be right to do so. Aditya Naya, sorry, pronunciation's terrible. Would Awakened token be used as a governance token, or would there be a different token? Yeah, it'll be a different token for governance. The Awakened token is there as a kind of almost a classic token. Obviously, a DAO token is slightly different to that. Alex in Oslo, what's your vision for this time next year? Number of users, functionality, etc. You ask very difficult questions. Honestly, I don't know. Things move so quickly in this space. You look at how things have changed in the last 6 or 8 weeks versus the 6 months before that, and it's moving at a terrifying pace. So this time next year, things will be different. How different will they be? I don't know. I think what we're building on the game side of things has longevity, and the way that I've modelled that out as well means that there is at least 3, possibly 5 years worth of gameplay there. And that's before you take into account that there are more kind of phases and more things that could be done within that game. So yeah, over time it will evolve. I would think by this time next year, the focus will not be on avatars and multipasses and so on. They will be on the game side of things, and that will have really kind of come into its own and grown up. I've said this before, the way that this space is developing has massive flashbacks to 2008 when social media games were becoming a thing. And if you look at how they evolved, it started with the kind of games that we're talking about here, and then moved into kind of semi-virtual worlds like your Farmvilles and so on, and then they moved on into mobile games. Honestly, I think history is going to repeat itself. I think we'll have what we have now, and then at some point in the not too distant future, there will be kind of games that are visual and worlds that you interact with, and then it'll go mobile. How quickly that happens, who knows? But yeah, I think it will take the same route. Alex Beeger, do you think in the near future we might collaborate with some real-life brands? Looks like it's going to be the next trend. Yeah, it's an interesting one. Starting to see more of that happen. Adidas seem to be killing it at the moment with how they're starting to get involved in this space. So yeah, who knows? There's nothing planned right now. We haven't had any conversations with anybody about this kind of thing. But as we kind of grow and release the game side of things, I would suspect that we will start to get approached because brands want to get involved in this space. Crypto Ping Pong. Henchmen should be called Undertaker. And Vivin suggests Acolytes. Acolytes I like. Undertaker, yeah, maybe. I prefer Acolytes if I'm honest, so thanks Vivin. Rahat. Should we call the token Wake or Woke, maybe? Yeah, one of those two. How would we be able to visit the land? Is it going to be through the web? Yeah, so these... It's not as if you are dropping into a 3D environment or anything like that. They are NFTs, so kind of visual representations of the real estate that you hold. But you will have an access portal that gives you the ability to log in and see everything that you own and everything that you need to manage within the Awakened universe. So you'll be able to see the different real estate that you own, you'll be able to see the avatars that you own, your multipasses, you'll be able to see which are linked together and which maybe aren't linked yet. You'll be able to move things around, so there'll be an area that gives you access to do all of that. Where are we? Oh, getting towards the end. That was quick. Mobsy, big thanks to the team, Twicky included. Love you guys. We love you too. Thank you. Luke Trade, thank you to the team as well. We appreciate all the work you do. I really appreciate that. Thank you, Luke. And same from Anthill as well. By the way, great job, team. Yeah, honestly, that's really appreciated. Me in particular, I spend as much time on Discord as I can, which is really limited at the moment, which is a massive annoyance of mine. But there's just so much going on with trying to get this built. Obviously, the game that I've talked about before, and the day job as well. So I would love to just sit there on Discord and chat shit with you all. But getting that feedback is really important, because we are working our backsides off, and this is a difficult space. It's competitive. There's a lot of projects out there that shout very, very loudly and maybe don't deliver. I think we're a little bit different, that maybe sometimes we don't shout as loudly as we possibly could do, but we're here to deliver, and we think that will see us through in the long term. And apparently Mopsy said we do miss you in Discord. Thanks, dude. So yeah, I think that covers everything. The questions look like they've dried up now, so I'll probably call it a day. But if you've got anything else that you want to know, any feedback, any ideas or anything like that, especially around the community events, because we're open to doing any of that kind of stuff. So if you all want to sit there and play poker, we can definitely get something like that organised. But again, just thank you for your support. Thank you for all your patience, and we will be back in a week's time, because a week on Monday is when the next multipass drops start. So we'll do another AMA at around this time next Sunday. All right. Thank you again. Have a good week.